clean air and clean water, the wise use of our land, the protection of wildlife and natural beauty. These are part of the birthright of every American. To guarantee that birthright, we must act. It is literally now or never.
Hi, I'm Amanda Bloom, and welcome to Hanging On by a Thread. In the late 20th century, industrial development created a better future for humanity. Today, we enjoy a life outside of nature's harsh ways, with modern medicine, air conditioning, and filtered water. Yet, humans are destroying the planet with these innovations. Every year, we see scientists churning out alarming new studies. We see continual calls to action. We see animals disappear. We see our water become murkier. We see our impact. But as early as the 1960s, we saw our effect on the planet. And back then, it truly seemed like humanity would right its wrongs. So what happened? How could we have gone from great strides to complete inaction? And most importantly of all, how can we stop the catastrophic effects heading our way? To answer all this and more, we need to start from the beginning. Acid rain fell from the sky and smog hung over American cities in the 1960s. Coal plants pumped out carbon dioxide, nitrogen oxide, and sulfur oxide into the atmosphere, not only polluting the air Americans breathed, but also the water they drank. And that's where President Lyndon B. Johnson came in. Growing up as a nature lover, Johnson felt firsthand how industrialization threatened the health of the environment. So once elected as president, Johnson became determined to take action and protect the nature of America, going on to sign the most environmental acts of any U.S. president. He kickstarted his environmental activism in office by signing the Clean Air Act in 1963, which established a federal program to monitor and control the air pollution killing Americans. It instated many life-saving protocols, as well as promoting the study of air pollutants, allowing the government to take action against harmful substances being released into the air like lead-based gasoline. As a result of this act, air pollution is down by 50 million tons since 1970, according to the EPA. And then, in 1965, in his State of the Union address, Johnson inspired the Water Quality Act.
The next decade should be a conservation milestone. We will seek legal power to prevent pollution of our air and water before it happens. We will step up our effort to control harmful wastes, giving first priority to the cleanup of our most contaminated rivers. We will increase research to learn much more about the control of pollution.
The act Johnson inspired gave him exactly what he wanted. This act recognized the horrible conditions of water across the nation. After this, the act set a precedent for federal environmental regulations in the absence of more localized action, allowing the federal government to take the reins and protect the planet. The Pesticides Control Bill of 1964, Water Resources Planning Act of 1965, Air Quality Acts of 1966 and 1967, and many, many more helped keep Americans safe and healthy. But Johnson also worked to keep America beautiful for the future generations, passing the Wilderness Act of 1964, the Endangered Species Act of 1966, and the Wetlands Preservation Bill in 1967. Combined, these acts conserved 9.1 million acres of land, conserved wetland ecosystems, and provided the framework to protect native animals from extinction. But Johnson was not the only president during this era to really take charge. Succeeding Johnson was Richard Nixon, who continued Johnson's work in conservationism. Despite all of Johnson's action, public fears were at an all-time high. So, in 1970, Nixon delivered a 37-point message to Congress on the environment, urging Congress to fund the cleaning of air and water, as well as proposing many legislative plans to achieve this.
There is much yet to be done. I repeat today my urgent request for congressional action on this much-needed legislation. The environmental agenda now before the Congress includes laws to deal with water pollution, pesticide hazards, ocean dumping, and many other environmental problems. These problems will not stand still for politics or for partisanship. They demand to be met now.
Shortly after, under the guidance of a council on how to organize environmental government programs, Nixon created the Environmental Protection Agency, also known as the EPA. This new agency unified all federal environmental action and held unprecedented power to respond to environmental issues. Able to research, act, and enforce guidelines, the creation of the EPA marked the beginning of Nixon's activism, as well as beginning what is known as the environmental decade. Beginning right where Johnson left off, Nixon signed the Clean Air Act of 1970, which unanimously passed in Congress. The passing of this legislation created extensive regulations on emission. Nixon also signed the first acts to protect marine life and their ocean homes in 1972. The combination of the Marine Mammal Protection Act and the Ocean Dumping Act allowed for federal intervention in the protection of marine mammals and ocean environments. Following this, he enacted the Endangered Species Act in 1973, also called the ESA, which created cooperative groups to manage lists of endangered animals, as well as create stricter hunting regulations. This legislation saved 15 different species on the brink of extinction, according to the Nixon Library. However, after Nixon's resignation, environmental progress came to a near screeching halt. Although legislation has passed since, it seems as though Congress's interest has greatly slowed. How could this have happened? And what does this mean for us now?